For the longest time, the Mahindra XUV 500 was the only mid-size segment SUV with 7 seats and a price bracket of 15 to 20 lakh rupees. But that segment was made a little interesting with the Hector Plus by MG and the Tata Safari. But now that segment is going to be more intensified because Hyundai has entered the space with the Alcazar. If you're the kinds who tracks the industry numbers keenly, you will note that neither the MG Hector Plus nor the Tata Safari has really impacted the market in the way that everyone imagined. The 7-seater SUV category needed something really strong for it to move in a nice and reassuring way. And that is why it needed either Maruti or Hyundai to rush through the doors in this 7-seater SUV or crossover space. Any product by either of these automotive manufacturers would have created a massive interest, and it would have changed the dynamics of the space as well. The Alcazar might, or in fact will, be able to do what the Hector Plus or the Safari were trying to do. The first very strong attribute that the Alcazar has or enjoys is the fact that it is based on the Creta, which is a very popular and a very successful product in itself. So the story built up as it being based on the Creta and sharing much of its design as well, because if you look at it, it's going to definitely look like a Creta to you. I think that is going to definitely do the Alcazar a world of good. From the design perspective, there are subtle changes at the front. The bumper and the fog lamp casings are different, and there is a skid plate that lends a little hint of robustness to the Alcazar, and the rear end is completely different. You get a new tailgate, you get new lamps, the whole 9 yards. The fact that the odd styling of the Creta has grown on people now is only going to make life easier for the Alcazar, and it is going to find acceptance among the people. And come to think of it, in profile, to be fair to the product, the design looks pretty balanced with very well judged overhangs. Hyundai says that the typical buyer of the Alcazar, they're going to be between late 30s to 40s or late 40s, which is on point, I guess. And buyers across the age brackets, they these days want a feature-loaded product, which the Alcazar definitely is, and by some measure. The cabin is kind of okay. I'm not really a fan of the color splash on the dashboard and the door trims, and in some parts even the plastic quality is not really the greatest. But the seats, they are fairly well designed, they're very comfortable. The driving position itself is very acceptable, and the passenger gets a huge amount of space to just get very comfortable. The middle row is also very good. The space is properly credible. You can move the seats fore and aft as well and adjust them for recline. So that definitely is going to enhance the comfort factor that much more. But the main reason for the development of this car is the third row of seats. Now, that's not the most ideal place, as it is definitely to be expected from a car of this size and this segment. It is definitely going to be a struggle for proper adults, but for those who are short in height or for kids, it is going to make a lot of sense in the back. In fact, the kids are really going to be very fine in the last row because they get dedicated charging points for their mobile phones or tablets. That is an extremely crucial feature. In fact, in general too, the Alcazar is loaded to the gills. There is every feature that you can imagine in this segment and then some. The 10.25-inch touchscreen infotainment that supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is right here in the center. There is a parking sensor at the front and the back. There is a 360-degree camera, ambient lighting with 64 colors to choose from, and there is wireless charging both in the front and the middle row, which is again a very useful feature. And yeah, it's just loaded, right? There is AC in the third row, so it just enhances the whole experience to a very different and a completely new level. But the item that I like the most is that when you turn the indicators, you're given a visual feed in the instrument panel right in front of you, and that is really cool. We have seen this in the past in Hondas. The Accord had it, the Civic had it, and yeah, over here Hyundai has integrated the system in a very nice way, and I think it just works very nicely. The BlueLink feature is becoming the norm with all Hyundais now. Every product in its portfolio gets it, and the Alcazar gets it as well. There are some voice commands, there is an SOS service, plus a range of functions, and you can also link a smartwatch and just get all the basic info on your wrist itself. There are two engine options on offer. One is a 2-liter petrol and the other one is a 1.5-liter diesel. The diesel churns out about 115 horsepower and 250 Newton meter, and the petrol, which is the one that we are driving right now, that is just shy of about 160 horsepower and 191 Newton meter. These engines are also mated to two different gearboxes, so you have an option of two gearboxes with both the engines, 6-speed automatic and 6-speed manual, and the automatic is a regular torque converter. The petrol engine with this 6-speed automatic is a fairly modest engine, to be honest. Its progress is definitely smooth and the gear shifts are hardly noticeable. But the pull through the gears when you really want to get on the gas does not really exhibit the surge that you expect from an SUV. And yes, the gain of speed is okay, it's very linear. But when you are overtaking, that is definitely going to have to be premeditated. The brakes are nice and quite effective for the most part, but when you press on it again, the pedal, the dive is fairly noticeable and the ABS intervention is not as intuitive as some of the rivals. Hyundai has given a coupled torsion beam setup at the rear, and the front suspension is a derivative of the McPherson setup of the Tucson. Now, the biggest change here is, especially compared to the Creta, is the addition of the hydraulic bump stop, which gives the Alcazar a very progressive sort of a rebound character. So while this hydraulic bump stop is all very good, at high speed, I think on some very wavy or undulating surfaces, the Alcazar is still going to feel a little floaty, especially at the rear. But the addition of the bump stop or a slight change in the whole suspension system or the geometry has a slight positive effect on the steering. This feels a lot more intuitive and responsive compared to the Cretas. You also get drive modes and traction modes. So drive is all about sport, comfort and eco, and there are traction. So essentially it's all based on the traction control and the electronic stability program. It's not really an off-roader, it just kind of manipulates the electronics and sends the power based on what the traction levels at each wheel are. But it's definitely not a proper off-road or a proper hardware system that the Alcazar flaunts. And when it comes to driving modes, sport, eco and comfort, well, you now all know about it. Eco just dumbs the whole car down to the extent that you're really going to pull your hair out, and it's all about fuel efficiency. Comfort is where you should be because that is the most balanced or the best compromise that you can have. And sport, it just makes the car feel a little noisy because the gear just drops a couple and the engine just comes alive. But you know what, the progress or the thrust from the engine is not really suited to match the term sport. So I think just leave the car in proper comfort mode and you should be pretty happy with it. Alcazar is a crucial product, and surely for the company, of course, but more so for the segment and the market. There has been an opportunity hiding in the mid-size 7-seater crossover space, and Hyundai is now attacking that with all guns blazing, and the product holds promise.